I am with Kenzie Coons. Kenzie, thanks for coming onto the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Kenzie's taking some time out of her busy schedule to be with us today. And so we're just going to jump right into it. Kenzie, you have played for a couple successful programs and a couple successful teams. First of all, you've played high school soccer for Millard West, and Millard West is always in the conversation as one of the best teams in the state. Obviously, a lot of great talent has come through the program, including yourself, and is still in the program. But what's the culture like there? Like, what makes the program tick? What makes the program go?
Yeah, when I was there, I was lucky enough to play with some really good upperclassmen. And honestly, I think what keeps it consistently being a top high school team is just the leadership on the team flows down into the younger players. And so it's just a super competitive environment. And I think it's a really good coaching staff, and it's just a fun environment. I think obviously high school soccer is just something just totally different than anything else. But
yeah, I always noticed that you always had the team while you were there, and then even after you've graduated, Millard West has always had this swagger. You have fun. You have fun when you're out
I
there.
mean, it's the tattoo sleeve at state,
Yep.
Every single year. No, I think it's just super competitive, and I think Millard West is always lucky to get some really good girls. And I think since it is just so fun, everyone plays well together, and yeah, just playing for your high school is just something that's once in a lifetime experience. So
yeah, and you had a lot of individual and team successes at Millard West, but flipping over to the club side of things, you were probably more successful on the club side of things with Elite Girls Academy, 5 state cups, 1 regional runner-up. What was your group like with EGA in terms of the players that you had to play with, and kind of the culture in your group specifically? Because your group was one of the more successful groups to come through EGA.
Yeah. So yeah, we played under Marcus Kelcher, which we know he's super successful guy. But I think we were a super just blue collar competitive team, and I think that's kind of what helped is maybe we didn't always connect all these passes and everything, but we just outworked everyone. And so I think that kind of just that grind is what helped us be successful and make a run in regionals. And so yeah, I think we just had a really good group of girls, and a lot of them went on to play in college. So yeah, we kind of set that, just Marcus set that foundation for us of just working hard and outworking and outrunning the opponent. So yeah, I think that's what helped a lot.
Yeah. And it gets you ready for the college game, which we'll talk about next. So shifting to your college journey, you initially enrolled mid-year at Texas Tech before deciding to transfer back and play for the Huskers. What was your recruitment experience like?
Yeah, so I started the recruiting process pretty early. I was a freshman in high school. So it was a lot. It's pretty overwhelming as a 15-year-old to be choosing your college. But I played in quite a few showcases, so that helped a lot. Reaching out to coaches, and just with Marcus, he helped a lot with the recruiting process and just helping me reach out to schools. And so I visited a few schools, and then I committed at the end of March of my freshman spring. So
it was early.
Yeah, so it was a really early decision, but so yeah, it was just I think all the rules have changed, but with recruiting over time. But yeah, freshman year, it was a lot at such a young age to make that decision. So yeah, it was a pretty overwhelming process, but I think I definitely enjoyed it, and it was super it was just a really good experience, and I met a lot of really cool people and saw a lot of different programs. So I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, and I think that's just a consistent thing, regardless of what level someone is going through. It's always, the recruiting process is just so overwhelming for all the student athletes, and I'm kind of glad that they changed the rules, because hopefully that helps tone it down a little bit. But you're back, you're representing the Big Red N, the Huskers. Yeah. What's it like being a Nebraska player representing the Huskers? And what kind of advice would you give to young players? There's a lot of young girls soccer players in the state that's their dream. And so what kind of advice, what's it like representing the Huskers, and what kind of advice for younger players who want to be like you?
Yeah, it is amazing. Obviously, being from Nebraska and playing in Nebraska, it was just, whenever I was younger, I would always like ball girl at the games and come to all the games. So then now being able to be on the field is just like representing Nebraska like in sports is just a totally different experience anyways, because we don't have like professional athletes, and
Mm-hmm.
we're like the Huskers, and everyone in the state loves the Huskers. So it's just, yeah, I would say it's like a totally unique experience, and to be like a hometown hero almost, like to play in the state that you grew up in and also like represent the school that everyone loves in the state is
Yep.
just, it's just different. And like everyone looks up to you just because they don't have anyone. It's not like there is no professional team. There's nothing outside of like Nebraska. So it's super awesome. Every time I get to put on the jersey, it's just like an honor. And yeah, I think it was a really good decision for me coming here. And then as far as advice for younger athletes that want to, soccer players that want to come to Nebraska or just college in general, I would say my biggest advice is don't stop working, always work on your touches. I would say hard work is honestly, I think that's something that's pretty cliche and talked about a lot, but ultimately I think that is the biggest thing. And to work on the small things, not only just like, is my finishing good, but is your communication good? And like, is your leadership good? And so I would say those things make you stand out. Like you might not be the person going 1v1 every time, but are you able to communicate with your teammates even as a young player? And so I think those are things that really help. And then obviously just like the work ethic will like help you go a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I think I look at all the top players that have come out of Nebraska, and you nailed the two things that are most, they're always hard workers. Like every player that has been like the top player, every time I've seen him in training or at a game, it's like, you're one of the hardest workers on the field.
Yeah.
And even at the young age, they're talking, which
Yeah.
isn't always a common thing amongst younger players. So that's both good advice. And I think that's good advice for players and then parents of younger players to hear that as well, and to hopefully encourage their players to do that. So we're going to shift a little bit because we're going to talk about the UWS team this summer. You're going to be a part of a fairly deep and talented roster. What has you most excited for this upcoming summer about the UWS team?
I am really excited. Yeah, we have a really good roster this year, which is awesome. And I get to play with a bunch of people that I played with in high school and just old club teammates. So I'm really excited about that. It's always fun to like get back and train with them, and to be able to play games is going to be exciting, especially since last year with COVID and everything was canceled. But yeah, I'm just really excited to play for Marcus again and to just get some good summer training, because I think a lot of times the training for off season is always hard because you're by yourself.
Definitely.
But when you have a like good competitive environment and just kind of getting to play with more of a like a different group of girls, I think is good too, and just kind of like share your talents. So yeah, I'm really excited just to play with some new girls.
Yeah, and so you actually talked a little bit about this. You're going to be reunited with former club teammates Delaney Stecker and Emma Wilson.
Yep.
And you're also going to be playing alongside some fellow Huskers, as well as quite a few former Millard West Wildcats.
Yep.
I think the connections in the roster are so cool because like you just have different connections with a bunch of different players, and maybe those players might not even be connected to each other. But what are those connections and like getting to reunite with Delaney and Emma, what does that bring to the experience for you?
So I'm just excited because when you finish, you play your last club game, you play your last high school game, you're like, wow, I might not get to play with these people ever again. And so just to be able to play with each other and train with each other and just honestly spend time with each other is great. And so I'm really excited because I think I know they're very hard workers. All the girls that I've played with, we come from the same background of soccer. And so just to be able to train with each other and make each other better is going to be just super fun. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I can tell you this, just like those three names, you, Emma, and Delaney, I wouldn't want to be another team having to come up against you three, just because I remember when you were playing in college. I watched you play in college. I remember all three of you playing on the same team in the youth, and I was like, that is just going to be a hard group of three, plus all the other players that are going to be jumping in too. So you've brought his name up a couple times. You were coached by Coach Marcus Kelcher as a youth player, and he's going to be your coach again. There are some players who haven't been coached by him before who are going to be on the team. What makes Marcus such a good coach for young women and young girls? And what should those other players expect who maybe haven't been coached by him before?
Yeah. So Marcus is just one of those coaches who he holds you to the absolute highest standard, but that comes from a place of he knows what it takes to play at the next level and play beyond like just club. So I think he's one of those people who instills like hard work into you. And so if you don't want to work hard, like then it can kind of become difficult. But I just think he creates like this mindset, and I think that's what's been so beneficial for me just playing for him is he's a smart coach, he's a good coach, and he just the fact that he holds you to that high standard like makes you want to like work harder, and it keeps you like, you know, like level-headed, and like I want to like not it humbles you almost because you're always being held to that standard. And so I think that's why people who play for him have such success, because they're used to being held to that high standard. So then when they go beyond just EGA or club soccer, they're used to that. It's not
they're
like
ready
it's
for
not
it.
like
They're
a
ready
shock.
for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that is super beneficial. And like I played for him for a really long time, and I still use the things that he taught me as a youth player in college. And so it was definitely just a really good experience for me to play for him.
Great. And I'm excited because I think he's going to bring, I think he's a good coach as well. And I think he's going to bring all of you together and play a really exciting brand of soccer this summer. And that's kind of my next question is fans are going to be able to come to your home games in person, which we haven't been able to do a lot this last year. And then they're also going to be able to tune in on live stream. And we plan on having a really good setup for live stream, which is going to be exciting. Why should people come and watch this team? Why should people tune into this UWS team?
Yeah. So I think this is going to be a really good team and just solid, hardworking. We have girls from very good schools from all over. And so I just think with Marcus as a coach, I know we're going to be playing a good style of soccer. And so I would encourage everyone to just, even in the community, like get more involved in soccer and come watch, because especially since people haven't been able to come to sports like
live sporting events
a long time. Yeah. So I just think it's really exciting. And I think this will be a good group of girls and an exciting summer season. So
great. Yeah. And I want to echo that. I just think it's going to be an excellent opportunity to watch a good level of soccer, a good level of women's soccer being played in Omaha. You don't have to travel anywhere. You can come right down the road and watch.
Exactly.
And then, so my final question is kind of just directed towards you overall. I know you have a little bit of time left with the Huskers. You're going to be playing UWS this summer. What are kind of your hopes, dreams, and goals for the future? Do they involve soccer? Or are you gonna hang up the boots once you're done with graduating, or are you gonna look to keep going?
So my mindset right now is that I definitely won't be ready to hang up my boots after college. I'm definitely going to try to play beyond. So I'm hoping that works out for me. I would love to play in the States, but if that doesn't work out in like my first years, I would be totally open to playing overseas. I know girls that have played with me before, like Breno Ochoa, have done that and been successful doing that. So yeah, I really hope to play beyond Nebraska soccer.
Awesome. And we'll be excited to follow. That's and Marcus is pretty confident that you're going to be someone who can do it. And so when he's confident like that, he's usually right. So we're excited to support you and follow your journey, which is going to continue this fall. You have 3 home games left for sure with the Huskers. And then obviously this summer you have some UWS games. So fans are going to be able to come and watch you play this summer as well. Kenzie, thanks for coming on. I look forward to staying connected with you. I look forward to working with you this summer through the GEA UWS team. We wish you the best of luck over the next 2-3 weeks with all your home games coming up and with the Huskers. And thank you again. And thank you for being an inspiration for the younger female athletes in Nebraska.
Of course. Thank you for having me.